In this tutorial, we're going to use Adobe InDesign CC 2020 to go ahead and set up our guide master. It'll be our main document that we use throughout our publication. So let's go ahead and open InDesign. And if you look at the rubric that's in Canvas, you'll see what we have to have. So let's go ahead and do a File and New. We're going to create a new document. We're going to try and create a new document. All right, we know that we want it to be for print. We want it to be 8.5 by 11. We want it to be portrait size pages. We want to make sure we have at least 12 pages. We do want facing pages to happen. We want it to start on page 1. We want to go ahead and click the margins. Let's go ahead and make sure we've got a 0.5 margin all the way around. It's totally up to you if you want to make it bigger or smaller, but at least let's start there. And I'm not going to put text frames on because generally you end up taking half of them off. So if you were creating a book or something, you wanted to have that information already in there, it'd be a lot easier to do those frames. So let's go ahead and say create. Let's do a file save as. And we're going to go with first initial, last name, underscore guide, underscore today's date, which is, well, 09/11. And we're going to go ahead and say save. I'm going to put on my desktop for now. So first thing we want to do before we do that, let's go back to our flash drive and let's create a few folders. So I'm going to go ahead and do it on my desktop so you can see. So I'm going to do right click and do new folder. And I'm going to call this one guide project. And within guide project, I want to have subfolders. So I want to have a new folder, one called images. I want a new folder called inspiration. And I want to have one called working. This way, when I am working on my guide project, I can make sure that I can keep track of all the different things. So as I'm finding inspiration pieces, I can put it in here. If I'm finding images, I can put them there. It's just going to make it a lot easier so you don't end up with stuff all over the place. All right, so let's go back into our InDesign. And let's go ahead and put that in the right place now. So let's do a save as and go find that folder that we just created. So guide project, I'm going to put it in my working file and say save. You'll be working on one document the entire semester as far as the guide goes. So you're going to keep building on this over and over again. So the first thing we're going to do is set up our master pages. So let's go ahead and go to pages, and we can see we've got our 12 here, and we've got an A master. So I'm going to go ahead in my master and double click my A master, and we want to make sure we have either a header or a footer depending on how you have your publication put together. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a text box type tool. I'm going to draw a text box here, and in that text box, let's do Control plus and zoom in a whole bunch. I'm going to go ahead and put my information. So I want my page numbers to be the very first thing on the outside of the page. So I'm going to go to type. I'm going to come down to insert special character, and I want markers, and I want current page number. And it's going to give me a letter A, which is just fine. That's telling me that I'm on the A master. Let's go ahead and add I could just add a space with my space bar, but I want to add what's called an M space, so undo. So I'm going to go to type, insert special character. We want a white space, and we want an M space. So it's going to give me just a little bit bigger of a thing. I'm going to put the name of my publication. So you should put, whatever the name of your guide is going to be. And then I want to go ahead and put a shift. I'm going to put a pipe, which is shift and right above your enter key. I'm going to do another space, and I'm going to put the date of my publication. So maybe it's fall 2020. We can change it to fall 2020. All right, so now I've got my footer on one page, but now I need to put it on my other page as well. So let's go ahead and add another text box. And let's do the reverse. So we want to do our publication name. You can do this however you want. Maybe you want to put your logo in the base. There's a lot of different things you can do. So I can't spell. So I have my dynamic spelling turned on. So edit and spelling. Make sure dynamic spelling is turned on. That way as you spell things incorrectly, it will grab them for you. And I did fall 2020. And now let's go ahead and insert that M space. So type, insert white space, M space, and let's go type, insert special character, markers, and current page number. And I'm going to go ahead and with my properties, I'm going to go ahead and align that one to the right, so it's going to jump on that side. So I'm going to do a Control minus so you can kind of see, or I can do a View, Fit Spread in Window, and let's do a Control S and save what we've got so far. So now that gets your basic footer set up for your publication. So the next thing we want to do is some of the rest of it. So we're going to go ahead, go to our actual pages. And one of the first things you need to do is set up your color scheme. So I'm going to go ahead and do a File and Place, and I'm going to go grab that screenshot I have of my color scheme from when I did my project brief. Wrong folder. So let's do View Images. And where'd it go? Here it is. Color palette. Open. So I'm going to go ahead and do a File Place with that one. I'm going to try to anyway. Where'd it go? And let's go to page 1. Let's do File and Place one more time because somehow it didn't come in. Grab Color Palette, say OK. I've got my loaded cursor. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. So now I want to go ahead and do my View and Display Performance and make it high quality. So I've got those hexadecimal numbers on here. So let's go to Window and Color and go down to Swatches. And let's create a new color swatch. And we're going to go ahead and do a color mode is going to be, where's my hexadecimal numbers? Oh, we can do a Pantone. We can do a Pantone on this one. Nope, those are hexadecimals. Web. Okay, web. So I'm going to go ahead and put my numbers in. So I've got 3C. It's not giving me the numbers. All right, let's try cancel. Let's try adding a new color swatch this way. And let's try spot color. And mode is web. Find. And I'm going to push pause. Alright, so I've got a much better way to do it. We're going to go ahead and go grab our Eyedropper tool over on the Tools panel. We're going to go ahead on our Swatches panel. I'm going to switch that to my fill. I'm going to use my color dropper and click on that new color. So I've got that color on there. Let's go ahead and new color swatch. It should come up with that blue. And let's go ahead. It's going to be a process color. And we want to say OK. We want to add it to our swatches. So now there's that blue I want to use. So now I want to go ahead and say done. Let's go ahead and add another new one. So a new color swatch. Let's go ahead, grab here, grab our, I lied. Let's go grab our eyedropper fill, copy that color, and we'll add it to our, so double click it, add new color swatch. We should have it okay, and say okay, or add, and done. So let's go ahead and grab that eyedropper again, grab our third color. Let's go ahead, add new color swatch, add, and OK. So you can see we're getting all these colors here. I've got things in the way, so I'm going to grab my eyedropper, grab my tannish color. No, tannish color's not grabbing. Oh, new color swatch, that's why. Escape. Make that big again. So I'm going to do new color swatch, cancel. Let's grab our eyedropper. Eyedropper the brown, there we go. Now new color swatch, add and OK, done. And one more, eyedropper brown, and let's do our new color swatch and our process, add and OK, done. So now you have your color scheme built into your document. So whenever you want to use one of the colors that you have decided to establish as one of yours for your publication, you can use these relatively easily. So that's why we want to go ahead and do our color swatch. So you're going to want to make sure you paste this on the pasteboard and make sure you've done those swatches. So the next thing you're going to do is start working on things like your let's go ahead and create some styles. So you decided you had those character and paragraph styles as you're doing your project brief. So I'm going to put a text box in here. I'm going to write headline, write subhead, write body. And maybe for your headlines you said, let's go to properties, and you decided that you are going to use whatever decided. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just do these. I'm going to decide all my headlines should be this funky 7, and I want all my headlines to be 60 points. Oh, I lost my font. And I want them all to always be the blue that I just created. So now I can create a new style from that. So let's go to Window, Styles. We want Paragraph Styles. So anything that is established as a paragraph style, it means anything within that grouping. So let's go ahead and go to a new plus. It's going to give me a new style 1. And I'm going to double click it. I'm going to try to. And I'm going to write headline, blue 60. And I should have, yep, I do want it, so say OK. So now let's go ahead and just go on that body copy and do headline blue 60 and see you automatically are going to get that. So we've established that one. So let's go ahead and do our one for subhead. And maybe for subheads, we decided we wanted to make it, well, we've got kind of a fancy one there, so let's go ahead and do something else. Let's do something sans serif. So I'm going to go ahead and whatever you have chosen for yours. Gonzalez, and subheads are generally a little bit bigger, so let's do 48. So now I'm going to go ahead, I've got it selected, I'm going to go ahead and create this new style. And double click it, and I'm going to call it subhead. And we're going to say OK. And let's go ahead and fix that body copy. So let's go ahead and make that whatever you had chosen for your body copy. So maybe I'm going to do a serif font. And let's just go with whatever. Maybe not that one. That one's a little bit weird. All right, and we're going to make sure that that body copy is 12 points. So let's go ahead and write body in small, like regular letters. Oh, it's a lowercase cap one. I don't want that one. So let's go ahead. I'm sure you've already done all this for your project brief. So you're going to go ahead and establish that. So let's go ahead and do a new style. And for that new style, we're going to call it body. And say OK. So now anytime I want to change, I think my body might be blue, which is a problem. Let's go ahead and edit that. So edit body. I accidentally made it blue, so let's look at your character formats. You can easily change those elements as you go along. So I want to come down here to character color, and I do have it as blue. Probably want black. And say OK. And that way it'll go ahead and change any of those. So that's why you want to go ahead and make sure you're creating those different styles. And then as you start building your magazine, your publication, you want to make sure that you're actually using those styles. So let's go ahead and start labeling these pages. And that's what your next job is. So page 1, you might be having your front cover. And I'm going to go ahead and make that my headline style. So then you want to go through and label what's going on every single page. So where are you putting your table of contents? Where are you putting your welcome letter? All those elements. So you're going to go through and make sure you label all those in your guide, so you have at least a space decided as to where you're going to be putting the different elements. So you can decide now it's where you're going to put your 2-page spread. You're going to do something else. I have some type of like overset text in my master. So let's go look at my arrow. Let's do my pre-flight panel. Let's go to text. It's going to say you have some overset text. We're going to say where is it? And let's go see why it is doing that. So let's do Control plus, zoom in. And my guess is I put an extra space here or something. Yep, I did. I put an extra space here at the end. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a Control S and save, so I'm error free. The next thing I want to do is go back to my regular pages, and I want to go ahead and put in some of my inspirations sheets. So I've got those inspirations that I collected, so I'm going to do File and Place. And I decide, I really like this one as my front cover. So I'm going to say Open. And I'm going to go ahead and place that on the paste board. So I kind of have something to work from as I am creating. So you want to go ahead and make sure you have inspiration pieces put in for all of your different pages. Eventually we'll go through and apply some of the other masters. So let's go ahead and put a none master on page 1 and a none master on page 12. That way they won't have the page numbers on them. So that is basically what you're going to do to create your general guide master. And that is worth about 100 points when it comes to the first assignment, because there is quite a bit of just the basic setup work here. And if you have questions, let me know.